How you doing, Gracie? What'd you do with Chuck? No, I'm good. I got it. I got it. What?
Are we going to be in closed session? Are we going to vote on hiring those folks today? Or?
Kind of go whichever way we, see what the heck happens, and then we'll, we can go either way.
All right, I was just curious.
No, Jonathan comment to me earlier was, do you want to interview? Oh, good Lord. Y'all good down there? Very good.
Oh, yeah. I can't vote. Neither, but I mean, what do you think about that? What I think about it?
I
think she'd be really good for Jonathan. She's really organized. She worked for me when I was in the plane for a while.
No, heck, we ended up like 3.5. Did 12:33 this morning. All right.
Right.
All right. I'd like to call the Board of Supervisors to order. As always, let's start with the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Chairman, a point of privilege for your moment of silence. I was informed today that Mr. Billy Mitchell passed away. So you may want to remember that in your moment, Mr. Chairman. Sorry for my...
All right. Thank you. Billy Mitchell did a lot for Madison County. He was kind of part of us, and that's a great thing. And sorry to see him fall. All right, we do have a quorum. We do need to adopt an agenda. Anything we need to add to the agenda this afternoon?
Chairman, I would just note, although it's already on your agenda, specifically for your closed session will be the A1, which covers personnel.
Yes, sir. Anybody else have anything we need to add? All right, what do y'all want to do?
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the agenda as amended.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. As always, let's start with public comment. Generalized public comment. Sure. Mr. Meredith, welcome.
Hello, Sean Meredith, Constable in Stanberger's office. Just wanted to introduce myself to you all. Let you know what we do in our office is constituent services, so casework, assistance with federal agencies, programs. We also assist with grants. So if you are applying for a federal grant, we're very letters of support, and we'll be in touch regarding community project.
Welcome.
Thank you.
All right. Other public comment. Livingston, we have a lot of nobody's watching, huh? Well, we've got time to ramp it up. All right. Public comments over. Constitutional officers, county departments, committees, and organizations. Ms. Warren, we'll start with you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The finance team has been extremely busy. On January 1, we went live with our new Tyler Munis software and system, ERP. Things are going well. The finance team is doing their first AP cycle this week in the system, and we are constantly meeting with the various people at Munis to just fix anything that we find. So things are going well there. We're also, the audit's completed, as you know. We'll be doing that report tonight. And budget cycle's going well. We're starting to get outside agency submissions. We've gotten several, as well as department budgets, and we have set up department meetings to start working with the departments.
And department requests are due what date?
On the 13th.
On the 13th.
So,
The
yes.
13th. Good.
Yeah, so
Good.
things are going well.
Yeah.
Same as outside agencies and all too, right?
That's correct. And then we'll be meeting with them internally before the board meets with the group. And but everything's tracking, and we're answering questions as they come. So,
Any questions for Ms. Warren? Thank you. Jerry?
Yeah.
Take the microphone with you when you leave. How's Parks and Rec?
Doing good. Winter sports are underway. Spring sports signups are starting up soon from January 15th to the 28th of February. We're also working on a list for 2023. Hope to have it finalized soon. Some of the highlights this year is a Wool and Wine Fest on April 22nd and 23rd with the Sheepdog Trials returning this year. Movie nights at the park with possible first ever drive-in movie theater. And 3 music in the park events for June, July, and August. Halloween Fest, Haunted Woods events, Master Builders, Princess Dance Parties, Nerf Wars, and other possible fundraising events as well. This year we'll be hosting the Whoville Lacrosse tournament. The 2023 Virginia Cup will be July 8th and 9th at Hoover Ridge Park with over 100 teams from all over the East Coast expected to attend.
What sport?
Lacrosse.
Did I miss that?
We've been talking about bringing tournaments in for a long time. This is great, absolutely great. And they're using what, Woodbury Forest Fields as well. Right. Where are you doing your drive-in movie thing?
Down by the football field.
Just hold it for him, Brian.
Down by the football field. That's where we're thinking about having it, down by the football field.
All right.
You bring your Jeep and your dogs out there, you can come watch a movie.
Everybody loves them. All right. Other questions for Jerry? Thank you, Jerry. All right, Brian.
Nothing major to report, just business as usual. Getting all the real estate wrapped up, transfers and plats done. Other than that, like I said, business as usual.
Very good. Any questions from Mr. Daniels? Thank you, Brian. Lita?
So for December, we remitted 66,000 to the state and 30,000 to the county. And so for the year, we did 836,000 to the state and 377,800 to the county. So it was a pretty big year. I mean, we were a little down on the land records. For December, we did 164, and the whole year we did 1,914. In January, we began e-pay with the state treasury, and that should help us cut down on spending on deposit tickets and checks. And so we've done that 3 times, and it's went well for the month of January. Anita Shiflett, my chief deputy, is retiring at the end of the month, so we're going to miss her. And I just found out today, pretty excited about, that I got a state library grant to digitize and index my deed books from 1 through 59, and that'll put every deed book on the system. So that was a $27,000 grant.
Awesome.
And
Right.
Jennifer was very helpful since I'd already submitted my budget of changing things, so we appreciate her help.
Any questions, Ms. Locke? Thank you. Thank you for the money.
Would you like me to sing?
Yeah, either way.
Good afternoon. Things are moving along in the treasurer's office. Phew, it's been a busy year, but with converting with the new software with Avinity, and then I will also be working with Munis some. But we're working hard. The last week in January, we're going to start collections. So if you haven't paid your taxes by the 20th of January, the gavel is going to drop.
And you brought it to us about using an outside firm for like outstanding debts to the county. Where is that going, Ms.
We're in a holding position right at the moment.
All right.
We're working with Avinity and that company to be able to get the information in the format that's needed so they can go with it. So hopefully that will happen in the next few months.
There you go.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
All right, thanks.
Other questions, Miss Murray? All right, Clarissa.
I can promise y'all I'm not singing. We do have our burglary alarm. Still working on the cameras. We also were going to do something about my light switches because you can't do everything. So we're going to work on that too. Like if you're at the top of the stairs, you have to be at the top of the stairs to turn off the upstairs light, and you can't turn on downstairs. Just trust me.
I was trying to think, what other functions do light switches have?
I'll explain it to you later.
All right.
Recently, at the December Commonwealth Attorney Services Council meeting, I was elected to represent the 5th Congressional District to that board. So I'll have meetings. That is the training arm for the Commonwealth Attorneys. That's the one that pays for our training and that sort of thing, and then sets kind of the tone. Today, our big news is that Mr. Hamilton, the Assistant Commonwealth Attorney in my office, accepted a new job in Clark County. So he will be leaving us at the end of the month, and we will be looking for a new Assistant Commonwealth Attorney. We are very much looking forward to getting our sheriff's deputies, our brand new ones, Eric, up to speed and on the road. And yesterday was Law Enforcement Appreciation Day, and like most days, we are very appreciative of the sheriff and state police, and sometimes even the game warden. That was a joke. You were supposed to laugh. And tomorrow is the first day of the General Assembly session. So everyone get excited. That is not a joke. Everyone should be excited. And if you don't know where to look, the Google has everything. LIS, the Virginia Public Access Project, has a great database of bills that are pending. The one that I just saw this afternoon was that they have a bill to have a JLARC study on the comp board funding for the clerk's offices, the Commonwealth attorneys, and the sheriff's office. So hopefully the General Assembly will recognize that they are not carrying their water as far as the funding for those offices go. I don't know what happened to y'all, Stephanie and Brian, but so, and then on a personal note, thank y'all for the PRA appointment. I'm looking forward to that meeting tomorrow night as well. Thanks.
Good afternoon. First of all, yesterday was National Law Enforcement Appreciation Day. We have some families here, and one of the families is here today, Mrs. Montgomery. They're big supporters, and also the Smiths from Brightwood. I want to shout out to them for providing food, beverages, chips, cookies, candy, and everything, not only yesterday, but throughout the year. Appreciate it. Thank you. We're still having some personnel issues. Lost one the other day. I was able, thanks to the board, we're going to have a SRO in the school system, middle school by, she starts on January the 17th. So thank you to the board for that. So met with VDOT. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Which school?
Middle school.
Yes,
Wetzel.
sir. That's what we're looking.
I had a meeting with VDOT today. We're discussing communication issues we're having. It was a very positive meeting, dealing with the TOC, local agencies, and we still it comes down to a communication radio issue. And Brian's promised me that ours will be up and running in August, September, so I'm looking forward to that. Any questions?
You got a good contact with VDOT?
Yes, I was able to get. You actually got a cell number, and yeah.
Jonathan,
spoke with
you should talk to the sheriff about this.
We discussed the R turnout at Shelby. Discussed the issues at Washington Street in reference to the light. So it was very, very informative. It gave me a lot of information, a lot of direct contact numbers.
What we're looking for. All right.
Thanks,
you, Sheriff. Gavin?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have a personal question for Jerry. If we go to this drive-in thing and we don't have our own Jeep, will one be provided? Or can I borrow Clay?
It doesn't run so well. And happy birthday.
Oh, well, thank you, sir. I appreciate
yes.
that. I'll be 38 today.
That's good.
So not a lot to report but a couple important things. We're still working on the shelter upgrade grant. I'll be meeting on Thursday with Drew and Stacy over at the school board office. We'll be going over the map of what we think we would be using at the high school in terms of space. That will give Stacy the information he needs to share with Cummins to finalize a quote. We did get delayed on that. There were some health issues on that end during the holidays, so we are a little bit behind. We're going to be really pushing it to be able to get this done if we decide to go forward. So there might be some last minute struggles, and we'll do our best to get it through. So stay tuned on that. The Stop the Bleed program is the next thing. And all of the cabinets have been delivered to the schools. And as of yesterday morning, Drew picked up all the Stop the Bleed multi-packs. So they're over there, and we're going to go over the same maps, actually, as to the locations where these will be mounted in all of the schools. So that should be done very, very soon. We also will begin training all of the school staff over there on their use and the best way to apply them, et cetera. Captain Estes and I and Bruce Stark from our EMS agency, we met just before Christmas, and we looked at all of the county buildings where we would want to apply the same type of product, cabinets and what have you, the courthouses, the county buildings, the library, firehouse, et cetera. I've come up with those numbers. We know exactly what that's going to cost. Right now, we're working out the last minute details. We may be able to effect that purchase before the fiscal year. If not, it'll go into this year's budget cycle to buy those products. And we'll also, as part of the budget, this will be in the budget, we're going to be looking at some more advanced training equipment that we'll be able to use to train fire, EMS, and law enforcement to supplement their TECC classes. And to also begin a training program for citizens on Stop the Bleed as well. So that's going to be a big topic for us moving forward throughout the year. And that's all I have to report now, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Do you have any questions for Gavin? The one that, do you have one down there, Jim?
No, I do
Excuse
not.
me. The only one that kind of strikes me is that with Gavin working with Cummins and the schools, and Mr. Timmons is a wealth of knowledge. Good Lord. Is that something that should be kind of included with CIP, the joint CIP that we do with the schools?
Well, I certainly think if the schools are approachable, like right now we use the fire department as primary, and we're very appreciative of that. As we move into discussions with the school, because they have to designate or say, yes, we'd like to have this. I think once they make that decision point, then it's my opinion that would be appropriate to come to you all, because there will be some expenditures. The grant that Gavin, and thank you, is exploring has some local match to it. So it won't cover 100% of a generator cost. The good thing, I know we hear a lot about, the roads and different things for the school and how it's not laid out right. The layout for areas that you would need if you ever had to use as a shelter, they're very close by the gym proximities, the cafeterias. So they're going to be discussing things for sort of sizing of generator, location, but ultimately the one that gets it all started is if they're willing to be a primary or secondary shelter. I believe the thought process is, the fire department, as long as they're willing, small operations, like we were very thankful for the warming shelter and so forth, but it wasn't a mass, hundreds and hundreds of people. That's when we would look to set up at the school's location if they grant that to us, because you can move more people and they have shower facilities and a lot bigger area to hold more people. So at some point, Mr. Chairman, it is appropriate to bring to the joint CIP meeting.
That's definitely the concept. Most of the time we will still be using the firehouse. They've been very gracious. It works very well for us. The idea is if we had another 1995 type of a event, or we had some other type of event that took place and when it was prolonged, this gives us an opportunity to be able to put the right things in place. We've got some other opportunities that we're looking into right now, which will be part of the budget, and we'll be talking about that, where we can maybe utilize the firehouse, the high school, and the primary school if we had to have multiple shelter locations. It's all part of a larger planning process on that. But if we can get the shelter upgrade grant to do that, that can defray that generator cost, and then we would have generators in all 3 locations to be able to assist in that.
Other questions? All right. Thank you, Evan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Brian?
Good afternoon. Not a whole lot to report. I was full staff for about 20 minutes and down one again. Had an interview last week, another one coming this week. Pretty good prospect. I anticipate getting there, but it puts 4 trainees on the floor. Still not mediating the overtime like I'd want to, but we're getting there. Radio meetings throughout the month. Obviously, Hoover Ridge civil work is completed. Generator is set. It is running. The only thing that's not running out there is the battery backup. That's pretty much a transition bridge between the power outage and the generator starting. That should be placed in service, I'm hoping, next week. Beautiful Run is done. Blakey is done. Hughes River is still on hold. We're about 70% through the project. Unfortunately, that last 30% is being a bear. So the subscriber units have been ordered. Clear Communications already started taking possession of some of those. Once everything gets in, that will be a milestone in the contract. And I'll get with Jennifer and Jonathan as we get closer to that. A lot of that stuff is still on back order. Supply chain issues have been frustrating, to say the least. But we're getting there slowly but surely. Key statistics for the month: 3,868 phone calls given and received, including 911. Calls for service handled 1,055. Year-end statistics: 911 center made 47,920 calls and 12,904 calls to service. That's all I have for right now. Happy to answer questions. That was the year. I would need a serious upstaff if that was a month.
Yeah, let's stay away from that. We're having trouble keeping it. Questions for Brian? Brian, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Legan?
Yep. Not a lot to report. Staff, we are up to 6 full staff people, so that's good. We're starting to. Amanda has come on now full time, and we're starting to be able to get some records that need to be scanned, put into the server. So we're starting to organize for the first time in a while. Slow down a little bit, which is expected this time of year of the building end of things. So finally be able to take a little bit of breath, but we expect things to really pick back up here in the building side. And we've always got stuff on the other side of the shop coming up. So otherwise, that's all I got to report.
If I may, Mr. Chairman, Ligon, was there an adjustment to your planning workshops and all? It may be good to mention.
Yes, that's a good point. We will not have any February hearings. And February 1st is the regular meeting that we do the joint meeting. And since that's when they do officers, Steve and I had spoken. We just moved that regular work session in January to February 1st. So we'll just have a work session, the Plan Commission on February 1. I did send an email out. And that way we can still elect officers like we do at the beginning of February. So I have 2 work sessions in February and a hearing March 1. A couple small things, we'll bore you with them right now, but we'll have a couple opportunities to meet Plan Commission, talk about it, and talk it through. So, yeah, thanks.
I think February.
Next week's workshop is.
Yeah, workshop's been moved to February 1, which was normally would be the joint meeting.
If they're doing their workshop on the meeting in February, we've left some of those things on our agenda, some of those meetings on our calendar, so that if issues arise, we can come in. There probably is no reason for us to meet that week since they're just doing a workshop. Is that?
Yes, sir. I would agree. If there are no cases, just the Board of Supervisors, you can move to cancel your portion of that meeting.
I think we should leave.
But if you leave it open in case some business comes up,
cancel a week before or something like that.
Yes, sir.
Depending on what's going to happen, we know we're going to have an active second meeting in January. We may have to have a meeting that night, but
yes, sir.
Something maybe.
So it'll be fluid until you give us direction. Okay.
Exactly. Thank you, Ligon. Livingston.
Hello. We're getting really close to rebuilding all the desktops that were real slow as far as upgrading them. got to finish up at Liggins' office next week, and then after that, it's going to be Clarissa's, and then I think that's it for a while. For the and that will we've upgraded probably about 15 or 20 of them, so that saves us from going out and buying new computers. And this coming up next week, I would say if we can get Alan, we're going to get started. Our plans to get him started on working on how to build accounts from scratch for new hires, basically account management, that sort of thing, so that we're not waiting in queue when we need to. Because right now we ship a lot of that to A&S, and we're not really sure exactly how they're doing it. But we will know next week, and we're going to start bringing that in house soon. So that'll be a quicker turnaround, hopefully, Mr. Sheriff. Unfortunately, the last two accounts we did for him was a disaster. Tyler admin training, been going over that. That's a whole nother admin beast with accounts and permissions and roles and all kinds of things that I've started training with Eric, our consultant, with that. So hopefully we'll be ready to start doing. I mean, it's basically account management, but it's two different worlds.
But it's enjoyable.
It's very enjoyable.
That's the way to be.
Especially when it works.
Yeah, there you go.
Like today when the check printer worked for the first time, we were very happy about that. That was taking some time, but we're getting there. There's a lot that's happening. I thought, and credit to Jennifer and Michelle and Angie and the whole team of them in there, and that was the smoothest ERP rollout, the most quietest one I've ever seen in my life. I'm here, y'all. Do you need me? They're like, no, don't need you. So that was pretty impressive, I thought.
Miss Murray's frowning, so we're skeptical. But keep going. Don't worry. Don't worry.
Well, we're not done with her yet.
Yeah.
Budget backups, Zendesk rollout. That's going to be our ticketing system. We're hoping to be able to roll that out soon. And waiting on a response. Everything should be in place to get that fiber ran to here. Clarissa, I'm sorry. Verizon is in between you and us on this one. But we'll be beating them with a stick, but they seem invulnerable to any pain. That's about it for now. Any questions?
Right. Questions for Livingston? And you're partially staffed with Alan now coming on.
Heck yeah, I'm getting him every chance I can, getting him over there getting started.
There you go. All right, questions for Livingston? Go to Noah.
Mr. Noah.
Good afternoon. So December was busy, 174 calls, 11 minutes was the average response time. A lot of the calls have been to further areas, which is why there's an increase from last month to this month. 10 mutual aid to green, we were able to help with 2. A couple of 2022 call stats. We had a total of 1,924 calls, which was 294 more than 2021. And then the total transports was up 227 from 2021 for 1,223. We're fully staffed. I'll be presenting on our strategic plan here shortly. Very excited about that. So business as usual, staying busy.
Your increased transports, is some of that caused by y'all being 24/7, 365, or is this just a trend that we're watching?
Trend we're watching.
Cool. All right, other questions from Noah? Thank you. All right, who's here from who's talking from the Planning Commission? Pete, are you talking? All right. Sorry, Steve.
As Ligon said, it's slowed down somewhat. At the next workshop, which is moving the January 1 to the February 1st meeting date, I think we have 2 SUP applications that we're looking at, and of course our organizational meeting. And we are still, of course, working on the comp plan review, which is actually moving along pretty well, I think.
It's great. It saddens me in every way, but it is like a super enjoyable process. This comp plan review. It's a lot of not new information, but just rehashing information that we kind of take for granted. It's going very, very well. Really a good process.
Yeah, I think so.
And more people from the public keep kind of coming in and getting involved, and what a win that is, you know. Yeah. Other questions for Steve? All right, Steve. If you march back over there, I'd really appreciate it. Tracy?
Thank you. Hello. So I was happy as attending the meeting last week that we turned November into yes we can January. Thank you. Thank you very much. Be here all week.
Very good.
And some other good news as well. We have another hair salon coming on board at the south end of town across from the Early Learning Center. Front Porch Salon. Gavin, I hear that. I'll get you an appointment. Front Porch Salon. And then I noticed next to Pig and Steak, I've not spoken to these people, but B Vape, and there's going to have artwork there as well. I'll learn more about that soon. No money has exchanged hands at the general store. So if you want to buy the general store, there's still time to do it. Just putting that out there for everybody. And then I got to meet Sean Meredith today from Spanberger's office. That was great. And also today, Rosie and Liz from the Small Business Development Center. Rosie is the assistant director. They're going to have business hours at our office on Mondays, March 27th, July 24th, September 25th. This is one-on-one business advising on top of all the trainings they do at the Small Business Development Center. So that's really worthwhile, and hopefully businesses will take advantage of that. That would be a very good one. We're just setting dates and more meetings. We are bringing back the Business Appreciation Dinner. That will be May 22nd at Early Mountain. Stay tuned for catering on that. Not sure who's going to cater that one yet. Tourism Committee meeting will be next Tuesday. I'm attending the Economic Summit at the Powell Foundation on January 26th. I got my budget submitted. I heard there was a prize. No? Okay. Try again later. And then I also had a policy update with the Economic Development Partnership for the state, and they were also talking about the General Assembly. If you've heard about Yunkin having money, $250 million going towards a pilot program, they're actually looking at land acquisition for industrial sites if you have over 250 acres. So just if you've heard that and wondered if that's something we'd be interested in. So,
Okay.
yeah. And also increases to the APHID fund, which we've already learned is something we can benefit from. There may be some more agritourism projects coming as well. Not like the ones we just went through. Different. Just putting that out there as well. And Jerry, where are your lacrosse people staying? Okay, we'll get on that. Okay. I gotcha. I can help work on that. That's all. That's all I have. Oh, and one more thing. Mr. Mitchell. I may have reported on this before, but there was a former player of his that came to the office one day. I wasn't even there. Connie arranged for it, called his wife, and was able to get him to visit. So they spent the day together. So I thought that was only a couple months ago. So I thought that was pretty awesome.
Very good.
That's all.
We haven't heard about it in a while. Are you still renting out offices upstairs to?
So yes, I probably will have a couple come available in February.
All the way through the holiday, you've had people up there.
Not the holidays. People didn't. There was one that left, and then actually two that have left. The smaller offices.
All right.
But yeah, we'll have two more that'll be coming up just like we had planned because we didn't want it to be long term.
Yeah.
So it's moving right along. So yeah.
Good.
Thank you. Should have said that.
All right. I think that's everybody. Still nobody online. Good. All right. We do have a consent agenda. We've got minutes from 12/13/22 and then minutes from 12/27/22. Anybody have corrections, comments? What do y'all want to do with the consent agenda?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the consent agenda as presented.
I'll second.
Motion's made and seconded. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, special appearances. Mr. Foley, come on up and excite us with the audit.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the board for having me here this evening. My name is David Foley. I'm a partner with Robinson Farmer Cox Associates, and I was the partner in charge and audit manager for the county's FY22 audit. And we have completed that audit, so here to present the results of that to you all. We issue, as part of the audit that we do, we issue two different documents. I'll start first with the audited financial report. And before I get into the results of the audit, we'd just like to give a brief overview of the audit that we do for the county. So we do the financial statement audit for the county, and as part of that audit, there's really three main pieces for the audit that we do. One, of course, is we audit the financial statements to make sure that the county's financial statements are prepared in accordance with general accepted accounting principles. And then the other two pieces of the audit we do in accordance with government auditing standards. One is, in addition to just looking at the numbers themselves, as part of the audit, we look at and get an understanding of the internal controls that the county has over its financial reporting. And so we'll look at those controls and test those, see if they're working as they're designed. And then the third piece of the audit is the federal compliance piece. So anytime an organization or locality spends over $750,000 in federal grant funds, you have to undergo what's called the single audit, which is basically a federal compliance audit. So for the major federal grant programs, the county and schools, we go through the uniform guidance on it. So basically, OMB provides a compliance supplement that lists the various requirements that the county and schools have to comply with when they're carrying out the spending their federal grants. So as part of the audit, we go through that to make sure that those compliance requirements are being complied with. So that's the three main pieces of the audit that we do. So as such, included in the audited financial report, there's actually three different reports from us that communicate the results of the audit. The first one is towards the front of the report. It's actually on number page 1 of the financial report, and this report's our independent auditor's report. And in this report, we say we did perform an audit on the county's financial statements, and it's also where we issue our opinion on the financial statements. And we have issued an unmodified opinion on the county's financial statements, which is the cleanest opinion in all you can get on a set of financial statement. Basically, an unmodified opinion means that the county's financial statements have been prepared in accordance with accepted accounting principles. The other two reports from us is in the back of the report. Go all the way into the back in the compliance section. The first report back in the compliance section is on page number 148, and this report is our report over the county's internal control over financial reporting. This report was clean as well. We noted no significant deficiencies or material weaknesses in the county's internal controls that it has over financial reporting. Also, no other internal control issues related to part of the audit that had to be issued in a separate letter. So overall, we feel the county has strong internal controls in place over its financial reporting. And then the third and final report from us is 2 pages over on page 150. This is our report over the county's compliance with its major federal grant programs. This report was clean as well. No significant deficiencies or material weaknesses were noted. and it's part of the county's compliance with the federal grant program. Also, no other items or amounts when as part of the audit. So again, all three reports from us were clean. So another clean audit again for the county. Just would like to highlight just a couple items in the financial statements themselves. If we go back towards the front of the report, just like to point out two financial statements. The first is on number page 15. This is the balance sheet for the county's governmental funds. And so the balance sheet reports the assets, liabilities, current inflows, and fund balances in the county's governmental funds. And then this statement has different columns for the different governmental funds the county has. The first column is the general fund, which is the main operating fund of the county. Again, it shows the total assets, liabilities, and the fund balances at the end of the fiscal year. So just if you look at that exhibit, the general fund ended with total assets of $34.3 million at the end of the fiscal year, compared to about $10 million in liabilities and deferred inflows, which left the ending fund balance of the county's general fund of a little over $24 million. And then this exhibit also breaks down the fund balance into the various categories: non-spendable, restricted, committed, assigned, and unassigned. And then the other exhibit, just wanted to point out, is on the next page over, page 16. This is the statement of revenues, expenditures, and changes in fund balance for the governmental funds. This statement shows the revenues, expenditures, and then the changes in the fund balances for the county's governmental funds during the year. So if we look down towards the bottom, we can see the county's general fund, again, the main operating fund, that had a decrease of about $225,000 during the fiscal year. And the county's capital improvement fund had an increase of $663,000. So the total governmental funds for the county increased about $438,000 during the fiscal year. But that's all I have on the audited financial statements. Would like to go through the second document that we issue as part of the audit. This is our communication with those charged with settlements. Basically, what this letter is, auditing standards require that we communicate certain items to the audit and then an audit. We do so in the form of this letter. Just briefly, would like to go through these with you all. First, some qualitative aspects of the county practices. Here, again, management is responsible for the selection and appropriate use of county policies. The county did have to implement a new accounting standard this year, and its financial statements had to implement GASB 87, that dealt with the how you treat operating leases, how you account for those. But the county did implement that standard, and that is the effect of that standard is included in the financial statements that we have here. Accounting estimates. Accounting estimates are an integral part of preparing the financial statements. For example, management's estimate of depreciable lives, first capital assets, and determining depreciation expense as an example. Also, management's estimate of the pension and OPEB liabilities is often another example of an estimate. This estimate is derived by actuaries that prepare that estimate. Difficulties encountered in performing the audit. I'm pleased to say we had no difficulties in doing the things as part of the audit. Really, all the county and school and Parks and Rec staff, they all do an excellent job in working with us as part of the audit. Not only do they have a lot of documents ready for us when we come on site, but also do an excellent job of while we're on site pulling any additional information that we request, as well as answering the questions that they have. We certainly know the county staff has their normal jobs they're dealing with when we're on site, so to have 3 or 4 auditors walking in and out of the office during the week can be pretty time consuming for them, but they do an excellent job of responding to our requests. Corrected or uncorrected misstatements. There were no uncorrected misstatements. Any adjustments that we had were provided to management and posted to the accounting systems. That way the county's financial system agrees with the audited financial statements. Disagreements with management. We had no disagreements with management as far as accounting or reporting or auditing matters. Again, if we had any disclosure, we all management representation. We do request certain representations from management. We get only assigned letters in the audit. And then lastly, management's consultations with other independent accountants. As far as we're aware, management will not consult with any other independent accountants in terms of segment. Again, these are just required communications we have to make to all. But that's all I have. I'll be happy to answer anything.
Questions or comments from Mr. Foley? You good down here?
Yeah, I'm good. So we're healthy, huh, Mr. Foley?
Sir. And they're healthy fund balance and that's it. Good controls.
Yeah, we're very glad that everyone is afraid of the auditors and working with them. It's great. I do think it's worth noting some of the we have increases to undesignated and designated fund balances. And then you can see the reflection of the federal funds coming into the schools directly very easily. And I kind of took note of the additional audit that was done based on the federal monies coming in. And it looks like where we had just, and I say it in the nicest way, but like just general confusion when they were shoveling, the feds were shoveling money to us and trying to keep track of it and going through John Shearer and then Gavin with COVID monies, all kind of came together, I guess. And that's positive, you know.
But yeah, that's been a chore. I mean, the funds have just been, ever since COVID's
Crazy.
in place. I mean, the grant funds have flown through, take a lot of accounting for and making sure that they're being spent. So it's been a big process.
Absolutely. Anybody else have questions for Mr. Foley, Jonathan, or Ms. Warren? Do y'all have any comments on the audit that we should take note of, or the public should take note of?
Not necessarily for general public. I mean, they can hear my feedback. I too want to compliment. When you brought in an additional person this year, I was kind of worried there at the end. They normally wrap up about Thursday, but I think David and his team, when they come, they hit the ground running, whether it's here, schools, Parks and Rec, there's got a lot. And to Jennifer and her team, they have this plus Tyler in their day-to-day routine. So compliments to you and your team.
Very good, Mr. Foley. Thank you very much. Look forward to seeing you next year.
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Thanks for having me.
All right. Ms. Warren, come up and talk to us about the capital rollover.
Packet is the FY22 rollover of capital, and I just wanted to mention a couple notes on here. Hey. Is it on? Am I not loud enough? Can you hear me okay?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So on the rollover of capital, just 3 quick notes I wanted to make. The first one is that with this entry we are closing out all school projects related to Fund 32 and 35. We're closing those out to fund balance. So those amounts are rolling to fund balance. So that's an impact to the general fund balance. And then we are also carrying forward all leftover capital money for the county projects, which you see in the first probably 20, like the first 21 rows is the county's outstanding capital project. So all of that money is rolling in. We do have one that we have to make an adjustment. The radio project, which is I think the negative minus 23,708 there, that we have to true up to the unspent bond proceeds and interest at the end of fiscal year 22. And on the balance sheet, we didn't have enough money as per what we put in the FY23 budget. We had to estimate. So we're now truing that up. It's just reducing that slightly. So that's the only adjustment there. That's the opposite direction on the county capital projects. Everything else is rolling over in the positive on those projects. And then the other comment I wanted to make is that doing this entry, there's no impact to fund balance. So we're basically closing out school projects to fund balance, carrying forward all leftover capital money, and no impact to fund balance. So I just wanted to make those 3 notes and see if you have any questions for me.
Questions?
Pretty clear.
Very good. No action tonight on this anytime. Yep, that's right.
Since there's not an impact.
Yes, ma'am. Very good. Thank you. All right. I don't know if we've ever heard from the Red Cross in here before. Mr. Brent, come on up and tell us about the Red Cross.
Good afternoon. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah. Welcome.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you for having me. And I'm sorry that we've never here today talking about preparedness. Every year, a couple of times a year, I try to reach out to all of our elected officials, and in September, part of that, talk about Preparedness Month, and we started a conversation then about trying to get them to talk about our preparedness programs. So I'm glad we were able to do that. Part of what the American Red Cross does, our mission is to prevent and alleviate human suffering in the face of emergencies. I think everybody knows we respond to a lot of disasters, primarily home fires. Home fires are the single number one disaster that the American Red Cross responds to here at home across the country. And part of what we do is try to help families prevent and prepare for home fires. Part of that is providing free smoke alarms to families, anybody. And part of that, we go in and install those smoke alarms, prepare a family plan. Since we started that program in 2014 across the country, we've installed over 2.2 million smoke alarms. We've accredited over 1,500 lives saved to the installation of those alarms, 24 of those here in Virginia. And again, that's free, and we offer it to anyone. We have our programs for school children, our Prepare with Pedro. Pedro is a penguin, which is a lot of fun. Some really interesting videos. If we'd had more time, I could have entertained you with some good humor today from Pedro. But it's a great program, 30 to 45 minutes. And I'm also really proud to say that just last week, we provided all of our youth programs and 2 of the other programs for the Boys and Girls Club here in Madison County. 68 youth during winter break participated in a training program last week. Part of them participated in Pedro and this 30, 45 minute, program for youth, teaching them how to be prepared for disasters, the things they might want to do. This one is again designed for youth from kindergarten through 2nd grade. And then we have our pillowcase project, which we also did, which is a really fun program that kind of came out of the aftermath of Hurricane Katrina. As we watched children leaving their homes with literally pillowcases filled with stuff that they needed to take with them, and turn that into a preparedness program where we actually give pillowcases, these really nice, big, huge pillowcases, talk about what should go in a preparedness kit and prepared them to help exit their households during disasters short of a fire. and as well as fire safety. But we also talk about natural disasters like flood, which is the most common natural disaster we face in our communities here. Floods, winter storms, those seem to be some of the most common things that we do. And we know that if we get the messages into the hands of youth through these programs, that we're also successful at getting those messages back home. And then we have disaster and emergency preparedness for adults. That's our Be Red Cross Ready program. Again, any group. I've done a lot of the presentations for seniors. It's a great program for senior care programs. To go in and again, spend 30, 45 minutes, an hour talking about disaster preparedness, which is fairly universal. There are certain things you might do in an earthquake prone area that you don't necessarily need to do in a tornado or hurricane prone area or flood prone area. So we try to speak to specific needs that you would have in those communities to be prepared. We've all seen real recently the value of knowing CPR, first aid, and AED. And while our preparedness programs, our free preparedness programs, don't include those certification, we do have the hands-only CPR, which is a great first step if you don't know how to do anything else to be able to start to administer that. In 30 minutes or less, we can come in and train any group in doing hands-only CPR, which is a great program. We did that one also at the Boys and Girls Club last week for some of the older participants. And then our Ready Rating program, which is a free program. We go in and spend 30 minutes talking to a small business, to a company, to a body like yours here as supervisors. We could talk about your preparedness. What are your emergency plans? Help identify gaps in that plan, and then work with that entity to develop an emergency plan that meets their needs. And again, every one of those is a free service through the American Red Cross. And I would so want to hear all of your work on the shelters. And please, obviously, that's something we do as part of our response portion of the American Red Cross. We would be here supporting you, hopefully, in that effort. We look forward to being able to work with you in any way we can to help prepare communities, because we know, again, that if you're prepared on the front end, it's a lot easier to handle anything that you're going to deal with in the future. That's it.
That was pretty good and concise. Questions, Mr. Brown?
I've got a few extra items I'll leave behind, but
All right.
I couldn't send a PowerPoint. It was a little too thick, but it gives you a few more details about each of the programs. And again, I was really excited to hear we were doing the program here in Madison last week. We love the opportunity to do more for kids, youth.
I don't know. The one that kind of strikes me is knowing y'all do the CPR program, because there's several groups out there that probably could benefit from doing that type of thing, and doing it. Yeah, I assume no cost.
The hands-only CPR is no cost. Yeah,
that's the best program.
Yeah, no, and it's a no certification, but you do get a certificate that says you participated in this hands-only training. It is not an official certification of any sort, but it's excellent. No, I think it's one of the greatest things we've done in a long time. And we've done it, I think every one of us have now done it at our board meetings, at our, it's just too easy. It's something that everybody should have the opportunity to do. We could come and do it 30 minutes here for you.
We spend enough time here. No. There are. I've got a group in mind that I'll pass along your information to, and see if we can get somebody to come in and talk to a bunch of great old farmers.
We'd love to do that.
Kind of go from there. Any other questions? Thank you very much, Mr. Brent.
Thank you, Roy.
All right. Old business, committees and organizations. Alan, you gonna walk us through this list?
And he's bringing up the chart, just as a refresher, at the organizational meeting, there was a few committees and assignments we needed to bring back. So we have that information for you tonight.
All
We
right.
did confirm that our Commonwealth Attorney's term, I think it was OAR, Criminal Justice Board, runs through the end of June of 2023. Mr. Barrett?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. All right, I'm just going to try and go through this
Yeah.
by each one. So starting with county committees, starting off from where we left off at the last meeting, the Board of Zoning Appeals. I have contacted Rodney Lillard. He is available to serve again if you would like to reappoint him.
All right, hold on. Are we good on Rodney Lillard serving on the Board of Zoning Appeals? Do we need motions on all these, Sean Gregg? Probably.
Yeah.
All right, I think we should knock these off as we go. Does that make sense to everybody?
Sir.
What do y'all want to do on Rodney Lillard and Board of Zoning Appeals?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve Rodney Lillard on the Board of Zoning Appeals.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Same sign. Congratulate Mr. Lillard. Moving on.
And just an FYI, I will send those to Lita. Lita will hand them to the judge, and then he will get back to us with his approval.
Great. All right, CPMT.
All right, so CPMT, I have contacted Valerie and Tiffany Woodward, and they explained to me that we don't actually provide them with any names other than our one board rep. Dustin will need to be reappointed if he wishes to do so, but we don't need to give them any other names. And at the June 30th the time, they will provide us with a list of people to be reappointed.
All right, well, we've got Dustin, who we need to reappoint now.
Yes, sir.
What would y'all like to do for Dustin on the CPMT?
Go ahead. I'm sorry, Cheryl. You have.
No, go.
After you. Ladies first.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve Dustin Dalston for the Community Policy Management Team.
I'll second.
Motion's made and seconded. Further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. We'll be waiting for her.
Mr. Chairman, I'm supposed to refrain.
Oh, there you go. Theoretically, he could vote for himself, though, couldn't he? There you go. That's the way to be. Always vote for yourself.
Nobody else will vote for you.
Exactly. All right. Planning Commission.
Just one other update. The
Yeah.
Electoral Board has been updated. Larry Christensen is the new appointee. He has replaced Annette Hyde.
All right.
FAPT, we don't need to touch it. It's basically the CPMT, but we don't have a board rep on there. They will come back to us at June 30th and provide us a list to be approved.
Okay.
Let's see. Parks and Rec has been updated with 3 new people: Clarissa, Brian Tanner, and Lawrence Helmick. The Planning Commission, we have 4 people up: Nathan Cowan, Peter Work, Stephen Carpenter, and Francois. All of their applications have been put into the board packet today.
All right. We knew we have 4 applicants here. We've talked multiple times about narrowing the Planning Commission as far as membership number, especially with having Ligon as a full-time planner now. What would y'all like to do on this one? Do we have any directions?
Want a motion?
Sure.
Mr. Chairman, I move to reduce the Planning Commission members to 7 rather than 9. And approving Nathan Cowan and Stephen Carpenter as the 2 members.
Second.
All right. Motion's made and seconded. Now for discussion. What would y'all like to do here? Any further discussion on this? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. All right. Planning Commission.
All right, and the last one for county committees is just an update. Cheryl Yao has replaced Alan. Tracy, help me out here. Alan Webb. So moving on to external appointments.
I'm sorry, which one was that, Al?
Tourism Committee.
Oh, yeah, okay.
That's part
Yeah, sorry. Mr. Chairman, we need some clarification on the Blue Ridge Committee. Alan, if you'll kind of touch base what we saw in the minutes. I will say that Bruce Bowman has been your main member, with Jim Ballard being an alternate. Alan can report on what you voted on at your organization meeting. We just want to make sure we have the primary and the alternate reflected correctly. Mr. Barrett?
So Bruce has always been the main person. He has always been an appointee, and Jim Ballard has always been the alternate. At the last board meeting, it sounded to me like you wanted to switch basically you with Jim Ballard, where you are the alternate and he is the full member.
Is
Me.
that yeah?
That was me.
You?
It was me.
Okay. So
The
you
alternate?
Yeah.
You
But
want,
I'm gonna go most of the time.
yeah, but are we leaving Jim and Bruce on there, and then you're just an addition?
Considered an alternate.
Yeah.
All right. So we're gonna leave, and what I'm hearing is we'll leave historically how it's been, Mr. Bowman, Mr. Ballard in those roles with, Vice Chairman Yao as the alternate.
Try to step up to the quality they
Yes,
bring.
I
to the
know.
table.
So we're
They're
reducing it to three
they're
because she's
outstanding.
already on there.
Outstanding.
We can't afford to.
So are we
have
getting rid of
either
Clay
one of them
altogether,
as an
or what?
alternate. They're
No.
both really good on this. Mr. Jackson, do you care to? You were last year, but are you and Vice Chairman Yao swapping the alternate role, or do you also wish to be?
No, he'll do a good job. We'll
So I
vote
would
on it.
recommend just, it may seem repetitive, but to do a vote on the Blue Ridge Committee as well.
Yeah.
For Mr. Bowman as your member, and then list your alternates, Mr. Ballard and Vice Chairman Yao, if that's your question.
All right, this is a good opportunity.
So moved.
That's the one. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That's a good group.
So I voted for myself, Dustin.
Let's see here.
That's good.
Yeah.
You don't like yourself, who's gonna like you?
That's right.
What else you got?
All right. So the next one is Piedmont Workforce Development Board. I have gotten the meeting times from Sarah Morton. It is the second Wednesday of March, June, September, and December, and it will be 1 p.m. to 2:30 p.m. So we will need to reappoint Mr. Jewett and Ms. Hyde if they wish to serve again. Ms. Hyde has informed me that she would like to serve.
Mr. Jewett, you good?
I will continue. Of course, the only caveat there is that meetings may be a problem, but I will make every effort to attend them.
All right.
One of the Wednesday things, I think
Yeah.
you said.
And we can always, the board's pleasure, at a later time, wish to advertise.
Would y'all like to advertise for this one? What are you thinking, Jim?
If you'd like to, let's go ahead and see if we can find somebody.
Does that work?
That works for me.
All right.
I can serve until then.
Yeah. All right. All right. So the motion could be that we'll appoint Ms. Hyde and Mr. Jewett to this board and advertise, looking for a substitute for Mr. Jewett.
So moved.
Yep.
And I'll second that.
Motion's made and seconded. Further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you, Ms. Hyde. All right. Next.
All right, so another update. I got more information on the RRCSB. They do actually have term limits. You can only serve twice on that. And I believe we should be good with that. So, Mr. Dawson, if you would like to be reappointed, you are on your first term, I believe. It's whatever y'all want to do.
I wish to add to that, you have in your packet, Ms. Dean Wells, I believe, earlier, well, I should say last year now, I know they changed the times that may have conflicted with Supervisor Dawson's schedule, so we put the advertisement out. This was the only applicant we have. Mr. Dawson, may wish to opine on his feedback that he has on this position, and you may want to consider an additional appointment.
Mr. Dawson?
I've spoken with Jim LaGraff and Valerie Ward, and she actually comes highly recommended.
So you would like Ms. Wells. You would like Ms. Wells to take your spot on this.
Yes, their meeting is actually going on right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty good recommendations. What would y'all like to do? We do have an application by Mrs. Wells. Ms. Wells. What would y'all like to do?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the application for Mrs. Wells for the Rappahannock Rapidan Community Service Board.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Same sign. All right. Next.
Let's see. I think that may be it for this one. Yep. So we're moving on to liaisons. So the next one would be, I think it's Jeff. Or wait a minute, where's that?
So that would be the board services. It should be a Rappahannock.
It's the Rappahannock Rapidan Division of Court Services. I just got to find out where it snuck off to. Is that on external appointments? There.
Yeah,
Wait a minute.
I know.
There it is. So we've reached out to Jeff early. We have still gotten no response. May want to advertise.
It's crazy.
Wait, I'm sorry. I think we should advertise.
Yes.
If I think we need to advertise. That's where I think we're at. What do y'all, everybody good on
Yes, sir.
advertising?
Yep.
Let's make a motion for this. Y'all don't mind.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we advertise for the Rappahannock Rapidan Division of Court Services.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank y'all. All right, next.
I think we have one more thing. I remember at the last meeting we had Mr. Hoffman, I believe,
Yeah.
was
Thomas Jefferson Criminal Justice Board.
What?
yes.
Isn't that the one?
You were gonna check where, maybe if Mr. Hoffman was interested in it.
Oh, was that the one?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, he's fine with it.
He seems interested.
That's the Thomas, can you bring it up? I think it's the Thomas Jefferson,
Yes.
yes, Thomas Jefferson Area Criminal Justice Board. Is
All
that
right.
correct?
Yep.
All right. What would y'all like to do?
So he would be replacing Mr. Jewett then?
So we need to confirm that.
This is one of the ones that you conflicted, yeah?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And they're meeting in what, Charlottesville? And you're in Harrisonburg?
Yes.
Yes. What would y'all like to do here?
Yes, Mr. I move to put Steve Upman on the Thomas Jefferson Area Criminal Justice Board.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And I abstain.
That one's probably right.
All right.
Okay. Ms. Hoffman abstained,
All right. I think
but you're going to inform him
I will tell
by
him.
no notarized letters needed.
No.
All right, just checking, just checking. That should be it.
that's it.
Heck yes. Moving right along. All right. No other old business. All right, good. This looks expensive. New business, social services, building HVAC. Mr. Weekly.
Thank you,
And
Mr.
I
Chairman.
think that we've got to tie the two topics. We got to tie 6 and 7 together.
That's totally fine. Your privy, sir. So starting with the invoice, as you may recall, this project goes back several months. We were having conversations about who should pay or what have you. The heating and air system needed to be replaced at the building. It's a county building, but it's known as the Social Services Building. Earlier on, county staff got involved to help from the procurement side, whether we were procuring of them, making sure proper procurement is followed. We identified that Riddleberger Brother is a sister company of Comfort USA, which has a national purchase alliance agreement that a local government or even a state agency such as DSS could use, which would also help on the timeline. Sometimes you put these things out for bids, engineering, architect, it can go forever, and they needed heat. It was about a 20-week, I think it actually went a little longer, that 20-week lead time to get equipment. The DSS board voted on that. However, our existing MOU, which was termed out or we're operating still under, that ran from 2018 to 2020. It did state that any capital improvement outside of normal maintenance and operations would be an agreed upon project between the county and DSS, hence is why they took it to their board to approve. The state, and I give kudos to Valerie and Celine, they have been very transparent and providing me information of who they report to and decision making. The Richmond folks have said that this expenditure needs to be amortized over 20 years. I've pushed back and said it needs to match the warranty period, which most HVAC is a 10-year. If the board would even consider that as the depreciation schedule. But our current MOU specifies several things, and I believe it's in the packet. They do not pay rent because they have depreciated out according to their schedule. I believe we're going to be asking for either through our auditor, and I see David's left, or to obtain information on depreciation schedules. And also, we understand what is the maximum allowable rate. Those things should be readily available. But they have depreciated out. Currently, they do not pay rent. They do pay for the day-to-day operation or expenses. So whether it's electricity or heating, anything involved, they pay those items. So we are following that existing MOU. What I would recommend is the board consider authorizing, well, in this case, authorizing county finance to pay the invoice. We have two separate invoices, one for roughly $60,000+ and the other is the remaining balance. I'm waiting to hear back from DSS and our facilities maintenance manager to make sure they've wrapped up any final items. So if you were to approve this tonight, I would look to sign off on the $60,000+ invoice we have, because we know that work's been done, getting the equipment in, installing it. But I feel like the vendor should be paid while the board and DSS board work out the MOU. As far as the MOU, the other action I had, Mr. Chairman and members of the board, was to consider authorizing Mr. Gregg and myself to bring back a draft MOU, which would be an updated MOU between the county and DSS. Of course, while you would be authorizing us, we would be working with such as Ms. Warren from County Finance, as well as the DSS side. But we're going to push back strongly on that 10-year cycle versus 20 years. But if there's anything else that you would like to see differently, please specify that. And if you authorize Mr. Gregg and I to work on that draft MOU, we will work towards those terms and/or conditions. And I'm happy to answer any questions or.
All right. Does anybody have any questions on either of the two items? Questions, comments, anything?
Yeah, I got two things. So how old are these invoices for the vendor right now? What are they dated?
I think they're due like by the 10th, which is today, I believe, that the $60,000+. So that came in as due.
So, yeah, oh yeah, we got to pay them. But I did, if the invoice is dated 2 days ago and you do net 30, you got some time. But they're due before.
We received the first one in December.
Yeah.
And it's due January 10th. We just received the 20,000. And it's still, we've got 2 more weeks on that one.
So, do I understand that DSS is agreeing that they need to pay for this, but they would like to pay it back to us over a 20-year period? Is that?
Yes, sir.
That's the terminology they're saying?
Yes, sir.
Can I add?
Please.
Our depreciation for machinery and equipment is a range of 5 to 20 years. However, we need to make sure that we're depreciating it over the estimated useful life of the asset. That's the question.
It's 10 years.
Do we think it's?
Yeah.
10 years.
100%.
So that's what we should use.
Yeah.
That number of years.
All right. You got anything else?
No.
All right. I think we all got the same comment. Dustin.
Hands down, I think the contractor needs to be paid, but who signed the contract?
So that was DSS.
Okay.
Yeah, that only helped. Another good point. I think I think everybody understands that we need to pay our bills.
Yes.
And that, especially on HVAC stuff and things of that nature, it's us that is looked at negatively not doing it. I think we can do one motion that essentially is pay this bill, but then certainly insist on our team to redo this MOU. It's absolutely ridiculous that we have a 10-year warranty on it, or 10-year life expectancy, and they're going to pay us off over 20 years, and that's completely unacceptable.
And we will get, just like anytime, we'll get the factual information. So we will get with, in this case, Riddleberger Brothers and say, hey, what is that life cycle? So we've got that definitely. It's not something we pick out of the air, not that we would do that. The current terms, and then, of course, we're operating under that until you have something new or terminate it. It was for a 2-year period. There was some initial back and forth draft that Social Service had shown me that maybe would recommend 5 years. I didn't know if there's a certain term that the board would prefer. 2 years is probably fine. If you want to go 5, I wouldn't suggest going something 15 or 20. But if there are certain terms, specifically the duration of the MOU, please let us know. You have the current, if you want to start giving some feedback via email, I think over the next couple, weeks, then we can take that feedback and start working with DSS.
Yeah. So, Jennifer, I've never married the two things between useful life and warranty period before. But I mean, I guess that's one thing you can hang your hat on. But I would like to see Jennifer and Jonathan and David Foley, if you want to, include him. He's
Sean Gregg.
And to come up with a useful life, what we want to come back with as that period of time.
Yeah, there should be some schedule. I'm not the financial mind, defer to you two, but there should be some type of schedule. If they are, and I don't have it up in front of me, but in this MOU, they reference things such as allocations or any future. So page 1, paragraph C, for any future depreciable improvements at the maximum allowable rate. Well, what is that? Your definition may be different than Sean's or mine. So having that helps us when we're making the case or having an understanding between the two bodies.
Well, the issue though, Sean and Jennifer, is what one person might call depreciable and what one person might call capitalized, right? So, I mean, that is up for discussion. And David Foley audits Skyline Cap, and he comes in there, and on a routine basis, he asks me to run a report on all what I've coded as maintenance, okay? And then you look at it, and he'll say, well, was that really maintenance or is it capital? And then we talk about it, and then at the end of the day, most of the time, it's my decision, as long as that decision is not too far out of whack. You know what I'm saying? So whatever benefit, however we can get our money the quickest.
Yeah, I was wondering where you were going. That's exactly the right answer.
I'm pretty confident we have other HVAC units we've depreciated in the past, so I just need to see how many years we've depreciated those in prior, and I believe we should use that to be consistent. But I'll check that.
Yeah, I just leave it there.
Leave it. Yeah, but bring us. Yeah, figure it out. Get us our money back. A consistent way. It needs to be through this MOU process, so we can have something that works for the county a little bit. We're already giving them the space for free, which is not exactly correct. We all want to do
Mr. Chairman, just one brief comment with regard to negotiating. The contract does call for the Department of Social Services to pay all direct building and operating costs as incurred. It doesn't say anything about amortization or anything else. Now, if this is a state regulation that they need to be in compliance with, that's one thing. But if this is just a negotiation point, I believe we can take a pretty aggressive stance on this.
That's why you're in the group. Good. What would y'all like to do here? This is a good plan. We need to revisit this. I remember when they stopped paying rent, which didn't seem right in the first place. The state needs to cover this. They covered the roof. This is right along there with it.
And I think the new MOU, to Sean's point, we've had some discussions, myself and DSS. Paragraph 4, A and B in the existing MOU in your packet, I think we need to define a little more as far as, what repair and maintenance is. We've got into this repair versus replacement discussion. However, they paid for a roof replacement about 3 or 4 years ago. It was around $24,000. So there's some precedent there. I realize this replacement is a larger expenditure than that, but there needs to be an understanding of what is, I don't mean a board definition, but what is replacement? What is repairs versus, so the expectations and understandings there. So again, we can clarify that, and we'll get to work should the board authorize us to do so.
Jonathan, I pulled the depreciation schedule for the county. We have 7 units, HVAC units on there. All of them are being depreciated over a 10-year life.
There you go.
Thank you for that, John.
All right. Well,
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I move that we authorize the county to pay the invoices, the 2 invoices totaling $84,770, and also to have the county administrator work with the county attorney to draft a new MOU between MCDSS and Madison County.
Second.
motion's made and seconded. Further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank y'all for working on that. All right. EMS strategic plan. Come on up, Noah.
As Noah's coming up, Mr. Chairman, I asked him to pull this aside from his monthly report because I think there was a lot of time and effort put into it. So that way it's not that you would, but that way it's not glossed over. So, Noah?
All right. Good evening. I provided hard copies to y'all for your review, and this was a lot of work. So I'm going to go through the highlights, but there's going to be some detailed explanation, and I'm happy to answer any questions at the end, or if y'all come up with ideas weeks or years from now, happy to work on it. So I'm excited to share with you our very first strategic plan, which would not have been possible without the significant contributions from Madison EMS personnel who I'd like to recognize. Paramedic Nichols, Paramedic McGurr, Paramedic Withrow, EMT Galvin, EMT Walters, EMT Meadows, Division Chief Ham, and Deputy Chief Helm. This was a group effort, and it ranged from folks that are brand new hires up to 18 plus years of service. So we wanted to capture everybody's thoughts and input. As y'all know, our department has changed drastically, and the strategic plan is needed to be able to set the direction, goals, and establish realistic plans to achieve them. We collectively worked on a mission statement. So the mission of Madison County EMS is to evolve into a cost-effective, collaborate, and outcome-based emergency medical system that produces clinically progressive, evidence-based care while achieving high levels of satisfaction from the community and visitors of Madison County. Our vision. So Madison EMS is committed to building a safer future through collaborative partnerships with Madison County. We established values, so family, teamwork, and peer support. We'll support, protect, and nurture each other and our families while striving to be healthy, efficient, and effective. Dignity and respect. We treat all individuals and organizations professionally and objectively with dignity, honesty, respect, and without prejudice. Stewardship. We provide stewardship through collaboration to ensure accountability as well as fiscal and operational stability. Progressiveness. We are dedicated to the continuous improvement of our processes and systems based on evidence-based data. And participation. We welcome contributions from the public and other organizations to develop, evaluate, and improve our emergency services system as a whole. Once we established the mission, vision, and values, we conducted a SWOT exercise, which reviewed the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And it was conducted by the team to match our overall strengths with the rising opportunities, improve upon our weaknesses, and recognize current and emerging threats. After this exercise was done, we came up with our 5 top areas that we wanted to address. The very first is recruitment and retention. Our small department has difficulty competing with larger counties that can offer more competitive incentives to draw in new and maintain current employees. Our internal communication, pre-existing issues in our process of information dissemination, which through this exercise we've implemented improvement. So now we have a communication board where people who, let's say you're part-time, can come in and read any communication that was sent out. They can literally flip through that. So that's just one small change that has made a lot of improvement. Equipment costs, as I mentioned at the last board meeting, things are just more expensive. Our call volume, as I shown with our monthly report, we're seeing a couple hundred more calls this year from last. And then the evolving department responsibilities, such as emergency management, working on our community paramedicine program. And to give you the highlights of that, it's a proactive, not a reactive approach. So if you've had a surgery, you're discharged home, we would be part of your care team, making sure your medications are right, looking for trip hazards, making sure you don't have another emergency. Whereas the whole history of EMS has been reactive. There's been a problem, and we call 911 and we respond to it. So if we can help with that prevention down the line. I wanted to use a common sense approach. So a lot of plans you'll have probably, 200 pages, and you'll have a whole host of goals. So we developed 2 that are realistic, and I hope to be able to accomplish them within the 5-year time. So our first goal is to recruit, develop, and support our people. I can't emphasize this enough. Retention is where it's at. I won't go through all the steps, but the objectives. So we're going to advocate for increased compensation, enhance our peer support program, ensure appropriate infrastructure to support the mission. The second goal is to successfully manage change of the org. So we'll evaluate the effectiveness of organizational changes on an annual basis using process management tools. We'll improve the internal communication process for consistent information throughout the department. And finally, to evolve the department's capabilities to match the needs of our community. And that is the highlights. So I'm happy to answer any questions, but the goal here is to provide a map, a direction, and we want to have input from the community, input from y'all. This is a working document, but I think it's important to have that roadmap.
All right. Comments for no on this?
Yeah, I've got one, Mr. Chairman. I think, or 2 here. So, no, I was looking at the SWOT analysis and looking under community relations, right, as a weakness. Community relations is a weakness. And then you go to goal number 1, advocate for objective 1, advocate for increased compensation. I think improving community relations would go a long way to help goal number 1, objective number 1, don't you think?
Absolutely. And a lot of these crossover. The idea behind the community relations is like our community CPR program that we did at the firehouse, being more visible. The File a Life program that we've implemented is another strategy. That's where you can put your medical information on a card, you call us, you hand us it. We're not standing there asking for your name, address, date of birth, et cetera. It improves efficiency. So we want to increase to the community who we are, what we're about, et cetera.
I agree, because I tell you what, most of the time the people I talk to about EMS, I have to say rescue squad. Then they know what I'm talking about. But before that, they look at me like I've got 3 eyes. So branding, I guess, is the term that's used a lot. How do we, then I have to say, oh, it's the paid rescue squad. Oh, okay. You know what I mean?
And I'd love to be able to, we're career and there's volunteer. We're in it together. We have a volunteer division. So being able to that's kind of the old, in the new, it's like we're EMS, whether you're paid or volunteer, we're here to serve.
Right.
Isn't that kind of a cultural change over with the way that we've been doing it for so long?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And the thing that kind of came out of our discussions with, and we should be working with the community as much as we can. But the thing that really came between our talks between the volunteers, the previous volunteers, and the paid, is people don't really understand there is a whole lot of difference. It doesn't really matter what they call. What we really realize is, to some effect, we're doing our job when an ambulance shows up and provides care.
Yep.
And that's the most important thing. And if you continue doing that, I mean, a while back you came in with some type of letter or something. email maybe about services you provided in a positive way that really affected somebody, life or death type deal. And if you can get those and keep people going, then the rest of it's all. I mean, that's the mission, you know.
That's just it. When somebody calls, they want help.
Yeah, that's it.
At the end of the day,
Dustin.
I just want to compliment the staff in your department and sheriff's department and every department here. It really struck home when you said evolving department responsibilities. I realize in a small municipality, you get to wear this hat for 15 minutes, and you get to go over here and wear this hat for an hour. And I just appreciate that y'all are willing to do what needs to be done to get the job done. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Other comments on this? I hate the SWOT. I was reading that. I was like, what is SWOT? I hate that. And this is, and thank you for clarifying. This is a good plan. And if it will continue to evolve, it should help the whole department. We all take note of the increased compensation as we're just about to move into budget. It's challenging, I'm sure, on a daily basis, but
it is. It's so everyone's competing for everybody.
Yep.
I think y'all are aware of that, and it's hard. So, and there's a limited workforce, so it's like, where are we pulling from?
especially in a super competitive field.
Right.
Especially in this part of the world.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good plan. Very, very good. Thank everybody that worked on it with you.
Will do.
Thank you, Noah. Other questions, comments on this one?
No.
All right.
It's great.
Cortico Mental Health Program. Noah?
So background on this. So the Cortico Mental Health and Wellness Solution was approved by the board in FY22, and we're up for renewal. The board requested to review the services provided and feedback from the staff and usage. The 30-second overview is a 24/7 app-based program, exercise resources, contacts, etc. If somebody's in crisis, they can use the app to be able to get assistance. In your packet, I provided a usage report from Cortico. Feedback from the staff is they're saying it's helpful. Our initial quote was $20,000 to renew it. I don't know why, but I'm going to take it. The invoice we got was for $12,000.
Yeah, let's go with that.
I provided an email with my contact there. They have not talked about FY24 price increases, but she did offer a 2-year contract at the $12K. And I also learned literally today, I emailed Jennifer that there are now grant options that Cortico and Lexipol can assist us with in applying for, which I'm going to do if we can get that grant funded. So the ask tonight is, I have an invoice that says we owe money for $12,000, and if the board wishes for us to pay that to be able to continue the service, which I think is important.
What was the date of the engagement with the current contract?
We started January.
Was it January?
No. February 1st
Yeah,
of
that's what I was
22.
thinking. So we,
Yeah.
all right.
So the usage report is what I'm going off of.
No, that's
the
wrong.
start.
So Noah, I'm looking at this invoice. It's dated 11/30/2021, and it covers from it expired this past December 31st. Have we got the wrong invoice? I did read the correspondence where it looks like they have agreed to
Yeah, it looks like a typo.
2 years,
Typo. Yeah, it looks like a
but this invoice is old.
yeah. The date should be the 2022.
If this is what they sent us, we should keep focus on this with 8K savings. We also have comments on this, Mark. I read through your usage report, and I see where they tracked how many users, and then with iOS and then Android, so you can kind of tack that into the user count. This being all, I guess this is all. What is it? You can't share medical. HIPAA. That's what I'm looking
And
for.
this
Thank
data
you.
is skewed. for that reason.
Yeah.
You can elect to say, don't track me at all. So it could be your people. These are people saying, yeah, it's fine.
All right.
It still doesn't show who.
No,
like,
no, no,
specifically.
no. But you kind of see where I'm going here is that this is one of those services for employees
Yes.
that the results are really kind of unknown. And there's no way to track them in an ethical way at all. And I hate just spending money on stuff that you can't tell. And kind of that's the point of it. But if we've got an opportunity to lock in 2 years at the same rate, I don't see why we wouldn't lock in the 2 years, especially with the way everybody and their brother prices to local government and government in general. I think that we'd see savings for at least 2 years of service.
And we'll chase the grants.
Yeah, do that.
So, Sheriff, your department use this? No,
You'll use a church person. There you go. What do you think? Is it worth? I mean, I don't know. The way that we watch pricing increase on an average, just annual basis, if not monthly.
It ain't gonna go down.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't see us cutting the thing, because it does pertain to mental health, which is important. Why would we not go down with the 2-year deal?
Yeah, I'd recommend, Mr. Chairman and board, to consider approving the 2-year. Not only, obviously the price break, but one of the things that, and Noah has shared with me, or Chief Hillstrom has shared with me, other reports, because we've been having this conversation. The board wants metrics; they want that, so I want to see what it looks like. So it's being used. I've gotten feedback from some of his staff. They come in and drops off receipts. I may ask them questions from time to time. So people handle debriefing or things differently. Some use the chaplain service. Some want a different care provider, but we definitely needed something above and beyond our EAP services to cover that need. So it is an extra benefit, and I think the employees are aware of that and appreciate that. But as long as there's use, I don't see a problem with it.
You say down there, Jim.
No, I think it's a smart move to renew it for 2 years at that price. It's being used, and you've gotten really good feedback from your staff on it. That's
Overall, but folks are very reserved. They don't really like to talk, and I don't actually ask, like, hey, in general conversation, like we have information on the wall where they can scan the QR code and get info, but it is a sensitive.
Well, that's
deal,
the whole
so-
reason we have it. It's because that's a sensitive topic.
Correct. Yeah.
And nobody wants to admit they need help.
Right.
Especially the people that you depend on, the last line of defense.
All right, let me ask you the other one. Right now, I'm trying to reflect upon when we did this, and there was the price is tied to the user count. Is that, or potential user count? Is that right?
Right.
Do we have any kind of option with this company if we wanted to add additional users?
Yes.
At a reasonable price or a negotiated price
I will
contractually?
research that for you.
Yeah, I do know that they allow you to, whether you're adding more people in one department or other departments, you can see the title there. I think also labels fire, but they do have a law enforcement component. It's basically at the need and request of a department. When this came up before, I had conversations to learn how the sheriff was handling that need within his department. Even though the fire department is a volunteer agency, I talked to the chief. How are you guys handling? So if there wasn't no need to reinvent the wheel, we can use the same service, but each department is handling that need in a specific way.
What do y'all want to do here? Probably should do a motion on this one.
So go back to the recommended motion on the screen, please.
Sure.
It's in the board report.
On.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I move that we renew the service agreement with Lexipol for a period of 2 years at $12,000 a year.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Grays Mill Road Speed Study.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. At the last joint meeting, the Board of Supervisors approved, I guess we want to call it a new tourism business out on Grays Mill Road. Public comment. I think even some of the commissioners had concerns on the entrance, the location of this entrance of the business, but also the existing speed there is posted. I think it's posted, or even if it's not posted, it's assumed 55. So I heard some of you, but as you know, you act as a board, maybe wanted me to look or request a speed study. So how that normally occurs is the board gives me a directive to request that. I request that of VDOT. They come back when they have that information. I know here recent, they've asked me, well, before we send resources, do you have reports from law enforcement? That's an issue, whatever. I'm not going to waste the sheriff's time. I know his staffing. Grays Mill, there's one road in. I mean, do we want to set up to see if they're speeding and other things? So in this one here, I would just suggest or recommend, if you wish us to have a speed study done, that's an easy thing to do. Just direct me. And
Looking back at my notes, it also has, like we talked about last Friday, I guess, was Berry Mountain Lane.
Berry Mountain Lane. So we pulled that when we talked about our agenda meeting. The owner of the property does have access off Berry Lane, but it's one of the easements. But in his application, he specifies the usage off of Grays Mill Road. So I was going to use the pictorial information that our county planner provided in that planning commission packet, and as a reference point. And we can also send them a GIS file that says this is the area.
All right.
Unless you want the whole road lower to 45.
Does anybody want to do the whole road?
No.
All right. Just to cut to the chase here. We asked for these speed studies periodically. It seems like we talk about roads every dang meeting. They're going to come back. They're going to say that people are driving at somewhere in between 45 and 70. We all know where we're talking about on Grays Mill. Do you want to request a speed study and then additionally request a slower speed limit for that one kind of bottom in there?
Can we just request them to change the speed limit?
Yeah, I think I was thinking. Thank you. This is good. What do y'all want to do?
Well, just to make, I'm sorry, Charlotte. Just a couple of comments on that, because I wrote up that, as I said, I went back there last week, and if you drive 40, 45, that seems to be a natural speed through there that gives you plenty of time. Okay. And I know that it's 45 just before you get to that turnoff to his driveway. So I really think I would just extend that 45 zone past his driveway, perhaps.
Past the driveway, and then it kind of comes through that bottom. It goes, hits the next bump, and then it kind of comes around. Do it somewhere just past there.
And you've had portions designated before. For example, Twyman's Mill was something in the last year or so. There was a 45 mile an hour zone, if you will, or segment of that road. So,
all right, good. Y'all want to request 45 past that little hump and curve?
We just asked the sheriff his opinion on that.
Yeah. What's your opinion? No, Grays Mill.
Past that.
All the way up to Grays Mill?
No, go Grays Mill. You know where the I don't know.
Hold on, let me go GIS. Alan is. Bring up GIS, please.
Yeah, go
come
past
back.
Berry Mill. Go across the river.
So go to.
Hold on, we're gonna find it here.
Go to GIS.
Correct. Go past Hollaback. Yep.
And
go past that.
All right, go in. Scroll in.
No, not that far. Pull this thing up, and everybody up here got my hand signals.
As soon as you come out of the woods past the creek.
Yeah, all right. That's right. But it's as you come out of that slope there, you hit that next hill, and if you're humming along, it'll throw you around. You need to go right past that. 45. It's 55, but not all the way up. Hold on. Oh yeah, there's good. Hold on, that was a good comment too. What's that? The sign. Maybe we can get them to put some type of sign like hidden entrance or something.
The sign, if you recall at that case, the signage, Mr. Webb is going to be working with VDOT. I think he has an established contact. I don't know if it's Mr. Wilson, but they're going to be working on signage. There are things they can do, hidden entrance, or if it's some type of visual sign. Those are things that they can do pretty easily.
This is a terrible visual depiction.
Do you want?
The entrance.
Do you want the image?
Yeah.
Scroll up. Scroll up.
Yeah, that's about right.
No, what I mean.
You can't go. You can't do any kind of satellite.
Yeah.
Do a satellite. This is why we refuse to call you Chief Hillstrom, Noah. This is for community relations.
Yeah, just scroll back over to the left.
Oh, it's definitely better. Couldn't be worse.
That's your portion.
There's Garth Run Road, Eric. Okay. It's just past that a little bit.
Yeah.
Where's the location back here?
No.
This is the
boy. You're pointing worse than all us. No, it's right. It's right
this
in
is
there.
the guy's parcel 3711.
Yeah. Go. Come on. Oh.
Is he off of Berry Mountain Road or off of Grays Mill Road?
Gray's Mill.
Gray's Mill.
He's right before you hit the curve.
You're on Berry Mountain Road right there.
Yeah, I don't know what he's doing.
There it is. It's where the V.
That's right past the ferry corner.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's on past that. You got to go across the river.
See if I can get.
So
a different
see that
parcel.
Rivendell Lane, Eric? It's just past. It's not. It's just down the hill from that.
You should go over hump.
That's right.
Yeah,
Down the hill. That's
right
it.
there. Is there with your law enforcement?
No more than 45.
That's right.
All right, we didn't accomplish what we were looking for, but we're here. 45.
I know to bring different visuals. I didn't
And
learn
take it
that.
a mile beyond that. Say.
The road is 600, correct? What's the road number?
The road number is 662 is Grays Mill Road.
So according to the code, that should be about 45 miles per hour speed. Isn't that correct,
Mr. Greg?
Greg? 46.2. I've got this. The final page is speed limit is 55.
All right, let's get them. All right, everybody understands here. We're not accomplishing anything with this map. Like we've gone back.
All right, here's the thing. Go to
this one right
here.
All right, that's the additional property.
Scroll in on that. That's the additional property there. That touches Gray Mills. He had two parcels, 37 what is that, 7C and 37-11. 37-11 came off Berry Mountain Lane. He was going to access everything through 37-7.
Oh, Lord. You were right about to lower that. All right, I'm done with this. All right, Jonathan, do you know where we're talking about
Yes,
to
sir.
expend the 45 to?
Yes, sir.
Past that bump
Yep.
until you hit down into the flats and go
Yes,
all the
sir.
way up into Grays Mill. Not the whole Grays Mill Road,
No.
because nobody's going to follow that anyway. But to right there and then potentially do some signage that says something about a hidden driveway.
Yes, sir.
Working with Liggett. Is
Yes,
that
sir.
what we want to do?
Sounds
Bring
good.
up the next item.
Stop. Better. Do we have a second?
Yes, second.
There you go. Motion's made and seconded. Further discussion. Hearing none. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That was
That
a lot of fun. Really covered that one.
I'll bring my poster boards
Covered
next
that
time.
in
I
Madison
apologize.
County way. All
Yep,
right.
bring that and then that.
DEQ public comment for the RSA permit.
Yes, sir.
So, some of you follow RSA news. they have applied to modify their permit so they currently can discharge about 80,000 gallons per day. They have actually, and there's notice in your packet, they can increase that outfall at their current location that discharges to Little Dark Run, or they can go out to the Robinson River. So the permit, even though that may take 20 years, 30 years, you can go apply for allocation. You have it in your permit. That doesn't activate until you get to that right tier. But this is the public comment period that they said that they are required anyway to file. They have done that. The public comment period runs, so it's already begun, December 22nd of last year through January 23rd, 2023. You know, for me to bring that to the board, one, it's awareness to the public, but for you all, if there's any feedback or anything you want me to communicate to DEQ, I would do that on behalf of the county during that public comment period. We have not received any correspondence in the office at this time about this, but again, it should be listed that the correspondence would go to DEQ, but so far we've heard nothing in our office.
We had that meeting. When was that meeting? Like
In the September.
And that was just proposing. Were they including the proposal to go to the Robinson River?
No, sir. That's what changed and delayed the submittal or the public hearing period. Yes, sir.
Does anybody else have any statements on this? Comments? I don't think we need a motion on it anyway. It no matter one way or another, we need to get. I think there's I think there's, based on that meeting they had in here, there's general confusion on how sewer treatment works and how the permits work for sure, how the increased public utility access pertains to growth and planned growth. I think there's a lot of confusion out there on these topics. We do know that the sewage treatment plant is just needing
last night.
I mean, really, this was what we have to do.
Yeah.
The big positive on all of it, I think it's worth noting, is there is massive potential with USDA. And was there another group, or was it just USDA, to get some of the funding to cover the replacement of the sewage treatment plant, which is positive.
Yeah, that sums it up. Yeah.
Yes, so this is mainly informational purposes because, again, I know not everybody's on the RSA boards want to keep you all informed, and plus you may have constituents see the ad or see the public comment. What is this? And I'm happy if you want to direct them my way, or we'll direct them to the permit writer, Ms. Thompson's way, whichever. But we, as of yet, have not received any correspondence or calls on this.
All right. Anything else on this one?
No, sir.
All right, information and correspondence. He's leaving. Go ahead.
Yes, he's playing an ambassador role for me right now. The Ethics Council, we got all these fancy terms, right? So your statement of state and local economic interest filings are coming up due. They're due like in February. So we're going to politely, not hound you, but every week, Alan or myself will be calling and just making sure those get filed. If you got questions, please let us know. If you want to look at last year's, Alan can produce that as well. Sometimes that helps. So I would just say, please work with Alan directly. But those are due in February. So please be expedient.
Clarissa will find you.
That's her discretion. I think she's told me code does not allow her discretion. You will be fined per the code, but you're not going to do that. You're going to submit it on time like you always do, and we're appreciative of that. So just like to make sure you're tracking that item.
Yeah.
Next, Mr. Chairman, just to bring awareness of your scheduled public hearing on January 24th, that will be considering the sale of the former Crickersville School. There will be made available, and we will send this out to the press, and I think there's a couple of citizens has asked for it. There will be made available possibly even tomorrow, but definitely this week, the draft ordinance and the sale agreement. So those will be made public. Those items are forthcoming. So I know we had some.
Mr. Weekly, I believe you have a copy of the draft contract.
Yes,
it has not been approved by the board, but that is what would be presented.
for us.
Yes, sir. You did hand that to me today, so I will scan that and get that to the press. And there was one Kriegersville area resident who has spoken opposition several times. They have reached out for it. So now that we have that, we will provide it.
Mhm.
Thank you, Mr. Gregg, on that.
I think all we've got right now is the red line version.
I've got a review. He's provided it. We'll get that to you. So that'll be coming out.
All right.
And that's all I had for open session, Mr. Chairman. Unless you have
Anybody
any
else have any
questions.
information or correspondence you want to convey? We need to have public comment. Public comment. Do we ever get anybody watching? That's a weird way to answer that question. All right, public comments closed. We do need a closed session. Go ahead.
Yeah, I move that the board convene in a closed session pursuant to Virginia Code Sections 2.2-3711A1 for personnel.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you all. Let's take this.
Do I get to sit in on the
Yeah,
other two?
absolutely.
This conference is no longer being recorded.
I'm gonna smack you. Here, Jim, don't you want these? Don't you want some extras?
No, I want to get my
You won't have any friends.